Hey, BassGeek here, and I've got two baits that will mimic two sizes of fleeing bait fish better than any topwater or any soft jerkbait you've ever used. Let me show you how good these things are. And they're made by two different companies. So have you ever been out on the lake and the bass are busting and they won't hit your topwater to save your life, or they're missing, or you just can't seem to get that bite? I've even encountered with the live scope where they'll come up and the shad will break water, but the bass never do. And when they're in that mood that the bass are not going to break that surface, they're never going to come up and bust, but they will run shad. And if you see shad fleeing, 90% of the time, there's going to be bass chasing them to the surface. Those shad aren't jumping for no reason. But as you all know, chasing those bait fish can be a hit or miss proposition. But I've got two baits for you that I think are misunderstood, but I've been fishing one of them for years, and I just got my hands on the others earlier this year, and man, are they an incredible 1-2 punch that you have to have. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I've learned about bass via the forward-facing sonar. And I know a lot of you don't like it, but at least listen to this. At least let me use it as a teaching tool to help you geeks out that don't want anything to do with it. And this is a perfect time, because bass that are busting shad, it's perfect. You don't have to have forward-facing sonar. And what I've seen a lot of the times is when bass are busting those shad, yes, they'll bust the big balls, but a lot of times what happens is it's these 1 or 2 shad that are just kind of off by themselves, kind of got separated from the herd. And what happens is they'll start coming in and they'll increase speed, and then once that shad really flees and it'll jump out of the water, here they come after it too, trying to pin it against the surface of the water. And there's only 2 baits that I know of that can mimic that exact thing. And that's the Jackall riser and the Berkley Krej. Now, geeks, I'm going to tell you, I've had these 2 colors for quite a while. This color right here and the riser, and these are the Jackall risers. I believe these are the 007. Anyway, pretty much the standards. I'm going to call this Ghost Minnow, but I really don't remember what it is. But this is one of my favorite colors in clear water. It's got a little bit of a gold on the bottom, that brownish green back, and it's pretty translucent. What I like about these baits is you can wake them. Now you can wake them and then you can stop them and they'll sink backwards. And then you give them a nice little pull and they'll run right back up because of the way that lip's bent. And if you're real easy with them, you can bend this lip just a little bit more up and it'll come up even quicker. We'll talk about my favorite retrieve in a minute, but these things mimic a shad, especially the threadfin this time of year in my lake, which are not much smaller or about this size exactly. And so this bait is incredible when they don't want to hit topwater. This little bait drives them mad. Now the Krej, a lot of people think about it as a jerk bait, but it's not really a jerk bait. It's really a wake bait, so to speak. And it does the same thing that this bait does, and this is what makes them remarkable. When it comes to colors, I don't use very many when it comes to the Jackall riser. It's pretty much this one. I've got one that I use for my smallmouth lakes that's got some chartreuse on the belly, and really my go-to 90% of the time is good old bone. Just can't beat this color. It seems like in low light conditions, this bait is fire. And as I always say, hard baits, you need some low light. Now, I like these baits a little more when there's not a lot of chop, but I do need at least some early morning or cloud cover a lot of times, or maybe a little bit of stain to the water for me to throw these. Or the bass just have to be insanely aggressive. And then at that point, what's not gonna work? Now, what I love about the riser is it gives me the option to offer them a little bigger meal. So if you look at these, they're very much alike when it comes to design. The lip is pointed up. This one has a little more pronounced upward motion. Like I said, you can bend this up a little bit more. And these baits both have a great wake action if you want to fish them as wake baits across the top of the water. Now this is one of my favorite colors. Again, you can see the transparency in the Krej. It's got a blue back. They make another that I haven't got my hands on yet that's got like that same sort of ghost minnow color. I don't know the color, but it's translucent and got that kind of gold, green, brown back. That's the one that I cannot wait to get my hands on. This is my second favorite for clear water, but this is Blue Vapor. Next up is going to be a bait that I like to use around smallmouth, and this is table rod. Another one that I love to use around smallmouth, especially when the wind is kind of slick, but they're on. This one is a great one because it's translucent. And of course, I mean, it is named after me. This is Hanky Panky. No, I'm kidding. Like I always say, I'm pretty sure Berkley hates my guts. They'll probably change the name of this one now. And believe it or not, this is one of my favorite colors. It's just a great shad color. It's kind of like that bone color. And this is Stunner Shad. I love the purple back and the flat white sides. So on both, I'm just going to show you on the Krej, but on both of these, I just tie the good old pitsine knot. I don't really think it makes any difference whatsoever. Just 5 to 7 times. Then through the loop at the top. Pull it down. Moisten. Snug it up. Cut the tag in, you're good to go. Hey geeks, listen, I love my Camus boat. I love this thing. It helps me bring content to you geeks. It helps me do everything easier. And because it's been one of my lifelong goals to own a boat like this, I want to protect it. And there's no better way to protect it than with BIA insurance. Make sure you go check them out. Make sure you get a quote from them. Let them know BassGeek sent you. I'm telling you, they know boats better than anybody. Now, I will tell you, I rigged these on 2 different rods. Let's talk about that. All right, geeks, so rod reel line set up for the Krej. It's basically my jerkbait rod. And my favorite jerkbait rod, this is the Resolve by TFO. And this is the Lew's Custom Pro. It's a 6/8 to 1. I'm throwing the Canine Co-Poly because it's neutrally buoyant. That's what I like. And you know, I'm throwing it on an 8-pound test. You can throw it on 10, even up to 14. Now on my jerkbait, to get it down deeper, I throw 8-pound test, but I would recommend using 12 at least for this bait to keep it up better. All right, geeks, I throw the riser on a spinning setup because you can cast it a mile. So if they're busting, that is one of the keys, is you always want to set up that you can throw for a mile to be able to reach those bass. This is, of course, my TFO Taction. This is a 7/6 medium light fast action, which lets me cast this thing forever, or as I always say, a country mile. Now I've got it paired with a Pflueger Presidential, good reel for a long time, and still is a great reel at a great price. You can do 2 different things. I've got this on mono. This is my wake bait rod, my long A rod. You can throw it with a long A. If you want it to sink a little bit, you can throw it on fluorocarbon. Or if you want it neutrally buoyant and you need a little bit of extra stretch because these hooks are tiny, you can throw it on the Canine Fluoro, which is actually a co-poly. And again, there's your 10% off discount. Go try it, guys. I'm telling you, you're gonna love this line. All right, so if you geeks stay till the end, I'll show you a couple of alternate retrieves that work real well for this throughout the fall and even into the winter. I'll give you a link to a video for that. But we're going to talk about a very specific retrieve today that both of these do very well. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to cast it out. Now, again, if you got forward-facing sonar, you'll be able to see the bass up shallow. You don't even have to see them busting. But if you're casting at them busting, throw past where they're busting and then bring it across. And what I do is when I'm doing that is I'll throw it past, I'm gonna let it sink, and then I'm going to just lift my rod and let it pull up. Now, if they don't respond and they don't hit it like that, but I pull it all the way to the top, sometimes I even have it jump out of the water just like a fleeing bait fish. You have to do that with a combination of your rod and your reel at the same time. And that's kind of how I'll do it. Because what's great about this is you can bring this to the surface and then it's just going to float back down. Both the riser and the Krej do that. So being that these are treble hooks, when I set the hook, I set it again at about a 45 degree or to the side, and I keep my rod tip down and I fight the fish. Now you can boat hop them if it's a small fish, or you can go ahead and you need to get that net. If you try to thumb them, please be careful. That's the third and not recommended way of landing your bass on these. And again, really it's the same exact thing with this one. So you're just gonna throw it out there, you're gonna lift the tip until it comes to the surface, and you're gonna let it fall back down. Every once in a while, you can lift it to where it jumps out of the water and then let it fall back down. Now you can wake these, and again, that's a great way to get bites. Make sure you stay to the end to be able to click on that video. Be sure you check out these two baits. They really do work in tandem well together. So if you got some bigger bait fish, or they just want a bigger profile, or you got some smaller bait fish and they want a smaller profile, this gives you the best of both worlds and allows you to be able to catch them when they're busting no matter what they want. This is a different look. Now, if you want to see how well these baits work as wake baits, make sure you go check out this video right here, along with another retrieve that's really good. And as always, questions and comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you geeks ring that bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad. It helps us out tremendously. And you geeks rock.